Thank you, Ryan, for letting me know you couldn't hear me, so I'm going to start over again. Good morning. I hope you all had a great week off for Thanksgiving and enjoyed some time with family and friends. Today we have Amanda Deacon with us. She's going over cover letters. I know you've seen her a few times because she was in our alternate assignment for last week, and then she also had filled in a time before that. So she's here again with us to talk about cover letters. So I'm going to toss it over to her, and then when she's done, she'll toss it back to me and we'll go over your assignments for the rest of the semester. We only have a few weeks left. We have 2 more meetings after this, so keep up the great work, and we'll start learning some stuff about cover letters.
Well, thank you again. Hello, everybody. It's great to see you again. You actually will get to meet another member of our team next week for interviewing. His name is David Wolfong, so you won't be seeing me after this meeting again. So we'll go ahead and get started. Cover letters are a lot of fun, so I'm excited about the topic today. Turn that off. All right, let's get this started. Oops, sorry everybody, I'm clicking the wrong button. So cover letters, writing your way into the job. So first collaborative question that I have, and we're gonna be using the chat box a little bit today to check in. I wanna make sure that everybody is on the same page as I am. What is the purpose of a cover letter? Feel free to put your response in the chat box and we'll kind of go from there. So you can have a better chance of your resume being looked at. Good answer, Jacob. I like it. First impressions. Wonderful, Ryan. To introduce yourself to a potential employer. Great, Stuart. Love the response. All right. Intro to the resume. It's like a title page for the resume. Yeah, you can kind of look at it as a title page for the resume. Absolutely. All right. I think that was a response from everybody. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. Really, and many of you nailed this on the head, it is to introduce yourself to the organization. Now, one of the things that I don't think I saw in any of your responses was it's to demonstrate your interest in the company for a specific vacancy. So a cover letter is actually introducing yourself to an organization for a specific job. All right, so that is different than an inquiry letter, which is your interest in the organization and working for them, but there is no actual position that you're applying for. So there is a cover letter and then there's an inquiry letter. You're gonna wanna know the difference between the two of those. You also wanna draw attention to your resume. Now, drawing attention to your resume is different than reiterating your resume. The cover letter is not an overview of all of the facts and interesting things about you that the resume already takes care of. You want to connect with this employer on a different level, all right? It is their first contact, so it does make a really good first impression. We're gonna walk through each of the different types of cover letters and information incorporated into it, but the second thing actually I wanna ask you is, after having said that, should you use the same cover letter for multiple job applications? You can type, well, Y for yes or N for no. I've got 2 N's so far, 3rd N, 4th N. Depends. Okay. I was wondering if someone was going to give me a different response. All right. So everyone is actually accurate at this point because you probably don't want to use the same cover letter for multiple job applications. However, you can use some of the same content for applying for different companies for the same type of job. All right. So if you get a good cover letter explaining a description of yourself and your capabilities, you can still use that for the same type of job. You're just going to change it a little bit for the next position for a specific company. Now, this slide, I'm actually going to give you this URL. We're not going to watch it as of right now, but she goes through some really, really good tips and tricks on cover letters. I always like to give you some additional information, but we're going to actually dissect the cover letter a little bit at this point. Okay, so first things first, it actually looks like a business letter. So you're going to have your contact information, and then you're going to have the person you're addressing it to at the very top of the page, right? So remember, appropriate examples of how to address an employer. Now, we all have diversity and inclusion that we have to keep in mind. We want to think gender specific, gender neutral. There's a lot of pronouns that are out there. We have to be conscious, and I would suggest going neutral when it comes to addressing specific individuals. However, if you know this person or you've met them at a career fair, you can address them appropriately, Mrs., Mr. I usually will direct it in the form of like dear, their position, title, last name. But if they're a doctor, you might be able to say, Dear Dr. Jones, Dear Dr. Williams. It's gender neutral information. Over on this right-hand side, this is how you could actually present it in different styles. I am partial to this second one down here, just because it gives you the name of the person, their position, title, who they work for, the address, and then the date itself. All right, this is the one I'm partial to. It does not mean that you cannot use the ones above. Okay. Now, I wanted to actually show you what a cover letter actually looks like so that you know what I'm talking about. So at the top up here, you see your information, your name, your address, phone number, email, and then the company representative's information. Now, on the previous slide, I did not add the phone and the email because sometimes you might not have that. My recommendation, if you're writing a cover letter, it needs to be addressed to a specific person. Now, to find that person, it can be a little bit challenging. You might have to get on LinkedIn. You might actually have to take a look at the company directory. If you met them at a career fair, maybe you got a business card or a networking event and you have their information, or maybe you found out about this person through a relative or a friend of the family. You can find this information, and at the very worst case scenario, you can call the company, talk to HR and say, hey, I'm applying for XYZ position. I'd like to address my cover letter to the appropriate personnel. Would you be able to share that information with me? Okay. Hold on just a second. I've got a message from somebody. Simone to organizer. Can you make me the presenter? I think somebody's trying to join. We have a little bit of a technical difficulty here really quick. Your professor is going to take care of that one. And we're going to keep going, okay? So, organization. A cover letter is nothing more than a 3-paragraph essay. And here's the thing. You don't have to use 3 paragraphs, okay? You can start with an introduction and then go to your body and then have a couple of sentences as you're closing. It doesn't necessarily have to be 3 paragraphs, but I like to show people this example in the very beginning because guess what? This one's 4 paragraphs, okay? But it gives you the information that you're looking for. It's short, concise. It helps people see what you're capable of doing, okay? So the first paragraph. And if you have questions in between time, please, please, please feel free to use the chat box. I will be happy to answer any questions for you, okay? So the first paragraph itself, you have to begin with an attention grabber. Now, it's labeled in green and it's bold, which means it's probably important, okay? We'll go through what an attention grabber is here in just a second. Education. Pretty important. You're all coming to Washtenaw Community College. You're pursuing some type of academic accolade. You may or may not already have industry experience. I'm assuming you're taking classes inside of your major area or a class that can contribute to the position. You might have actually already had a job semi-related to the position that you're applying for, and then the actual position. You do need to actually put that in the cover letter, and that'll all come together in just a second. So the example that I have below is a very, honest to goodness, it's not as fun as it could be, and it's not as attention grabbing as it could, but this is a start because you want to inform the person that you're talking to who you are, why you're applying, and grab their attention so that they keep reading. You do not want to start the first paragraph with, hi, my name is, I'm applying for XYZ position. If an employer is getting 1,000 cover letters, you do not want to be lumped in with the other 99 cover letters that start like that. We need to distinguish you in some way, shape, or form. All right. So I'll give you an example. For those of you that know Stevie Nicks, yeah, I'm showing my age. Actually, I just like her music. So, pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. Aristotle. It's a quote. It's not exactly something that you said, but it has to do with maybe your motto. Maybe you have a philosophy that you live by. What is it about the job? What is it about the industry that made you pursue it in the first place? What do you really enjoy about it? Right? That's really where we start when it comes to creating an attention grabber, and then moving into how do we tell an employer or show an employer verbally with the English language why you should be the best candidate to bring in for an interview. Now, a quote is one way to do it. You can do a very short anecdote. You can have a statement, whatever it is that works out best for you. All right. Now, you want to be cordial. You don't want to be too forceful, but at the same time, you want it to be unique. Okay? All right. So, just as a check-in, everybody's going to do this one. What's the first line of your cover letter? Go ahead and type it into the chat box. It's 2 words. Got 2 responses so far. I'm waiting for the other 4.
There's more people than 2.
Oh, good deal. All right, I think we got the gist of it. It's the attention grabber. Fantastic. Wonderful, I love it. Okay, I think I've driven that point home. So we're gonna move on to the second paragraph. This is actually connecting with the company. Okay. Now, when you're connecting with the company, remember earlier I said that you do not reiterate your resume. You're not repeating all of the information that's in there. You have to figure out, all right, what are specific qualities and characteristics that I have that I can contribute to the company, and how can they use those to achieve their goals, the company's goals. A cover letter is not used to say, I want your job that you're offering so that I can get experience in the industry. It's not about you, okay? It's about how can you contribute to the organization, because if you think about it, you're fitting into their environment, they're not fitting into yours. So you have to be able to convince or persuade them using your unique characteristics of how you can go ahead and achieve that. And we'll look at some examples in a second, because I'm going to jump into the third paragraph and then we're going to dissect some of this stuff. The third paragraph, honest to goodness, it really is a very small closing paragraph. It's reiterating your interest in the company. You actually include a statement talking about how you're interested in an interview. How they can contact you is optional, and then you remember to thank them, and do not forget to actually sign it. Some people actually forget to say sincerely first name, last name. Now, this enclosure resume, I will tell you, that's optional. You don't have to have that in there. It's automatic. All right. So I'm going to skip collaborative question number 4 at this point. And the reason why I'm going to skip it is because I want to dissect this. So you've seen this one before. So the first line, you've got, clicked the wrong button. Apologize for that. So I'm passionate about programming and motivated to further my education in a challenging and hands-on environment. Okay, that tells them a little bit about you. Okay. They start to include some of their education. The last year at Washtenaw Community College, I learned objective-oriented languages, specifically Java, and believe I'm qualified to work as an application developer as part of your 2017 summer internship program. Bam. Very short, concise, to the point. This is what I'm interested in. Here's the position, and then we move on. Now, in this case, this person does not have industry experience, so they're applying for an internship. So they have to use what experience they have, which is in the classroom, okay? They've learned things in their classes from Washtenaw Community College. They've been exposed to many facets of specific areas inside of their industry, okay? They were routinely challenged by assignments, right? So you can go a little vague, but at the same time, you got to tell them what's important to them. In IT, when it comes to programming, complex problem solving and specific languages are very, very important to an employer. So you got to think about that. Right? The professional history doesn't necessarily match up with information technology and programming at this point. However, it does match up with being in probably the retail industry. It could be in the food services industry. It's what we call transferable skills. Now, I'm going to give you a hint. Employers can teach you the technical portion of their company. However, they have a hard time teaching you the soft skills, right? Which is punctuality, being accountable for some of the decisions that you make, working in a team environment, right? Communicating with your colleagues and coworkers, working in a project, and maintaining those relationships, right? Those are what we call soft skills. Employers want to know you're capable of doing those. Now, in this paragraph, the reason why I'm telling you that is they're not only incorporating their technical skills, they're also talking about their soft skills. Employers want to hire someone that knows more soft skills and maybe a little bit of technical skills, right? So if you're capable of learning, if you're a quick learner, you're able to develop some of those capabilities, they're more likely to hire somebody that is able to communicate and learn a technical piece than having to teach somebody how to communicate. And you're going to learn that in an internship as well. It's not like you have to be an expert in the industry. Okay. The second one I wanted to show you because it looks a little different. You'll notice right off the bat there are bullet points down at the bottom. Now, I'm not technically partial to this, but it is a type of cover letter that you can create. Okay. You can start out with your regular attention grabber, reference the position, but one thing I do want to show you is right here. My interest in your position peaked when I read the words, "take the lead." You're actually quoting the job description at that point. Incorporate information from the job description and the company. You have to research who you're applying for to be able to connect with them. So if you're writing a cover letter and you haven't researched their website, you really, really need to go ahead and do that, okay? And the reason being, these 3 bullet points right here are directly coming from the job description, but they are paraphrased of the ability of the person that's applying for this, okay? Now, in the resume workshop that you listened to, I had mentioned applicant tracking systems. Applicant tracking systems do actually apply to cover letters as well. So if you have information in your cover letter that matches that applicant tracking system, that is a good thing. Questions so far? I want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Go ahead and type N for no if you don't have a question, or just type the question if you need it in the chat box. I'll be happy to answer anything. Right, so far, we're doing pretty good. And don't be afraid if you have a question. So from the responses, I'm seeing everybody's following along so far. So we're going to review really quick, and then I'll add a little bit more information at the very end here. So 1 page. This is not a 5-page research paper. 1 page, 3 paragraphs. It can even be 2. All right. You want to be short, concise, descriptive, but to the point. Enough to make your point, but not so much that you lose the person because it's too long. Right? You can include the date in the cover letter. A lot of people will, so that they can say, hey, I wrote this on XYZ date. It was within the deadline, and they can see when that happened. Right? Now, font style. We're going to go back here really quick. This is actually Times New Roman, which I know it looks a little blurry probably on your screen right now. I would actually recommend not doing Times New Roman because it is a default. Whatever font your resume is in, use that same font for your cover letter so it looks uniform. This one, I believe, is a Tahoma or an Arial. Or it's a Calibri. It's one of the 3. I can't remember what I did. But it's a very rounded font. You can use a sharp-edged font. It just looks a little bit nicer. No Comic Sans, no wingdings. We want it to actually look professional, and they aren't trying to figure out how to do hieroglyphics. So if you use wingdings, no one's going to be able to understand it unless they actually translate it. All right. The other thing that I wanted to point out is down here. This is literally 3 sentences long. This is your closing paragraph. Right. You want to reiterate your interest. You believe the internship program would be a benefit not only to you, but also to the organization. Remember, we're going to tie in that organization. Feel free to contact me, though this person said, please contact me at your discretion. You can go a little bit more forceful with this if you want to. You can actually say something like this. I would be happy to discuss the opportunity you have for such a member of your team, or you can give them a deadline. All right. I think I have to back up really quick, so I apologize if it makes anybody sick when I'm doing that. All right. Down here, they're talking about thank you very much for your time, and I look forward to speaking with you in a personal interview. Now, this is a little bit more forceful, but it's still cordial. You are allowed actually to assume that you're going to get a personal interview and say, I look forward to talking with you. Feel free to reach me at. If there are specific times during the day where you know you're not going to be available, you actually could put that in there if you want to. However, because we're students, you may want to just leave that off. If you get a phone call from an employer and you don't know who it is, it's better to let it go to voicemail and to call them back than it is to pick up the phone in maybe a very loud area. Just be very careful of where you're actually at when you pick up that phone. Okay? Now, I'm going to speed demon through this one more time. Have someone actually proofread your cover letter for mistakes. If it's me, great, fantastic. I'm a professional in this industry. I read them every day, all day long. I have absolutely no problem with you emailing it to me and saying, hey, Amanda, could you please take a look at this? I want to apply for XYZ position. Great. I would rather have you do that than not have somebody look at it at all. Have your professor look at it. All right. Have a friend take a look at it. Now, with the friend, make sure that they know proper grammar and English spelling because you do not want to have any type of issues when it comes to grammar or spelling in here. All right. You don't have to be an English professor to be able to proofread a paper, but you do want someone that has an understanding of how a 3-paragraph essay should be formed. Now, a resource here on campus that I know is available to you is the Writing Center. Highly recommend using that. They are professionals. They will be more than happy to assist you, and they'll help you with the flow. Maybe there's language that you might not be able to figure out how to word. Like I said, I do this for a living, so I'm used to reading things and saying, hey, what about this? I will actually give you suggestions of how to rephrase something. If you come to my office, if we do a virtual meeting, if we're talking on the phone and I'm reading it, we're going to together figure out how to say it so that it's accurate information, but also sells your qualities. Okay. Now, like I said, cover letters, it's not rocket science. Once you have the meat and the potatoes of it, once you've started asking yourself some of those questions and you connect your technique and information that you can provide to an organization, it actually makes it pretty easy. It just, for some of us like myself, I am not an English major, so it takes me a little bit more time to think about what I want to say. Don't be afraid to do more than one draft. I go through 3 or 4 typically. Okay. We do have questions. So should you put a personal image? No. Like your resume, do not put your actual picture on the cover letter or the resume. The only exception to that would potentially be a graphic designer or an architect. And even then, it's sometimes not the best option. It depends on how you incorporate the image. Any other questions that we might have? All right, I'm not seeing any other questions in the text box, so I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up here. And then if you have questions for me, please feel free to shoot me an email. You've got all my contact information. If you think of anything, let me know. You're more than welcome to call me too. You don't have to send me an email if you like to chat one-on-one. All right. Well, thank you very much for listening. And like I said, you're going to get to meet my other colleague, David, here next week, I believe. He's going to come and talk to you all about interviewing. So have fun, good luck, and the offer still stands. Feel free to send me your cover letter.
What's your email again? Just say
it's A Deacon. So A as in apple, D as in dog, EACON at wccnet.edu, and I will put it in the chat box as well.
Perfect.
Just in case anyone needs me. Okay? Have a great day, guys, and we'll talk to y'all soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Have
you.
a wonderful holiday.
You too.
All righty, great. So hopefully that is helpful to you with creating your cover letter that you're going to make for your next assignment. So at this point right now, so far, you should have completed all assignments through Unit 6, Module 2. Coming up, Module 3 and Unit number 6 is due, which is due by tomorrow at 11:59 p.m., where you're going to create that cover letter. So you're able to take a lot of that information that Amanda went over and hopefully add that into your own. If you've already completed it and you want to go back and make any changes to yours, you can, resubmit that again if you'd like. It's up to you. By this coming Sunday, Unit number 6, Module 4 is due. Just the part 1 where you're going to complete the job interviewing video quiz and then the job interview activity. This is an important assignment because it's going to help you prepare for your mock interview assignment that is coming up and that is due next week. So keep that in mind as you look forward. So everything at this point should be graded. If you are missing something that should be graded that you don't have a grade for, please email me and let me know. Are there any questions about what's coming up? We have 2 more meetings after this. We are talking about interviewing, and then we have a final meeting before your final culminating assignment is due, which basically just puts all of this information together that we've been learning throughout the semester. So please try and look forward because it's going to get a little bit busier here the next 2 weeks or so. So of course, get to me as soon as you can and let me know. But it looks like no one really has any questions. I have a few N's, but yep, if you want to just put an N there if you haven't yet to let me know, that would be great. All right, so it looks like everyone is pretty much good to go. So enjoy the rest of your week, everybody. Stay warm out there, and I will see you next week. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.